Idealism, romanticism, fate, destiny, or holding on to how fairy tales depict love all have the potential to ruin what may otherwise be a completely healthy relationship. As a quick disclaimer, if you're in a toxic or abusive relationship, you need to get out of it. But for everyone else, it's worth thinking about the ways in which idealism can rob you of happiness. Elaine de Bottom and Carol Dweck are two notable psychologists who have written about the ways in which belief in fate hurt their patients' relationships. Here are two examples from Elaine de Bottom regarding idealism. Number 1. Our one true love will know us better than anyone. How often will you ask your partner, "What's wrong?" only to be told, "Oh, nothing." Then later they're mad at you because you didn't know what was wrong. "I'm not a mind reader," you say. This is when your partner who withheld information thinks to themselves, well, if this person was my soulmate, they would know what was wrong. Soulmates are connected. Soulmates are thinking the same things at the same times and finish each other's sentences. Here's the news flash. The reality is, no one knows what you're thinking. Sure, if you spend enough time with someone, you're more likely to know what they're thinking. And on some occasions, people are thinking the same thing. And it's tempting for these contexts to seem magical when they happen to two people who are attached. But we often finish sentences for friends and family members without thinking much of it. I can tell you with a pretty large degree of certainty what my brother will do given a certain context. That certainly doesn't make him my soulmate. Another idea that we get from fairy tales is that our true love will love us unconditionally, no matter what we look like or what we do. Now, this is a huge problem. It's not only inaccurate, but is an excuse for complacency and laziness. It is incredibly narcissistic to believe that someone out there should love you no matter how rude you are, how poor you are, or out of shape you become. The phrase "just be yourself" doesn't mean just be a slob and stop trying. It means be the best version of yourself that you can be. Not to mention, when you are with a partner, someone being with you and someone being happy with you are two entirely different things. You don't want someone to just stick with you. You want them to be happy every day. It's incredibly unfair of you to expect someone to be happy with you if you're not taking care of both them and yourself. Again, it's true that they might stay with you, but that doesn't mean they're as happy as they could be. And you don't have the right to say or do anything you want in this world to anyone, especially not to the person you love. So, put on your big boy pants and stop blaming others for not fitting into your unreasonable expectations of a soulmate. Most married people who believe in fate married the person they did because they were sure that this person was their destiny. At the same time, whether or not fate or destiny are real things, we're too quick to assume something is a sign, and an inaccurate assessment of fate is likely what caused people to be in an unhealthy relationship in the first place. Whatever you imagine about the type of partner who's right for you, rethink it. In fact, the opposite of what we think we need in a partner may actually be what's best for us in some cases. Drop all forms of idealism. Idealism, or believing in fate, or having preconceived notions about what the context of meeting a soulmate should be like, can greatly reduce the number of opportunities we have to connect with quality people in our lives. And these idealistically driven mindsets can also steer us towards the wrong partner if we believe that the context in which we met someone was too extraordinary to be a coincidence, and causes us to ignore what should be obvious red flags, such as our personalities not being compatible or certain fundamentals not being present in a relationship. We might even overlook the fact that the person we're with is rather toxic, or that our values never actually lined up. Or perhaps the person we're with is a great person, it's just that they're great for someone else. When we realize that understanding certain principles is our responsibility, it is not something to be left in the hands of fate, then we can start learning what we can about the fundamentals of relationships and cut down on some of what we think are deal breakers. Speaking of deal breakers, the following are some real examples of so-called deal breakers I've heard from friends. Number 1, if he doesn't like cats, it wasn't meant to be. Number 2, if he doesn't like Harry Potter, it won't work out between us. Number 3, I would never date someone who likes sports. Number 4, I would only date someone who likes sports. Number 5, if my dog doesn't like them as soon as they walk in my door, it wasn't meant to be. Now before you laugh, you and I actually have some of these self-imposed deal breakers. And the common denominator here is that none of these examples have anything to do with fundamentals. Recognize that there are some things you need to be more flexible on, and some things that you probably need to pay more attention to, such as, does this person demonstrate frequent insecurity? Is this person a compulsive liar or notoriously unreliable? The point is that fate should have absolutely nothing to do with your assessment of a relationship, nor should idealism or romanticism. Still, idealism is present in so much of the relationship process from the beginning all the way to the end. One illustration of this is that 9 out of 10 females I asked said that they would not message a man first on an online dating platform or any other context. The reason? That's a guy's job, they told me. About the same ratio of women told me that they wouldn't approach a man first when out with their friends at a bar, restaurant, or wherever. The reason? Same reason. That's the guy's job. If he doesn't approach me, it wasn't meant to be. Meant to be, you say? Nearly everyone feels uncomfortable approaching a stranger and pitching them something. I can tell you for sure that door-to-door sales is just as unappealing to a man as it is to a woman. Although, there's some data that have shown that women may actually be better at door-to-door sales than men. Plus, have you thought about what type of man hits on every attractive woman he sees? Is that the boyfriend you're looking for? Is that the soulmate you're looking for? A quality man might not approach you simply because he's busy, or is just preoccupied with thoughts of work, or doesn't want to bother a stranger, or a million other reasons. In addition to that, and I have no idea why this happens, but many women will even try to seem uninterested in a guy they like. Then they're legitimately surprised when this man doesn't approach them. You're literally trying to seem uninterested. What did you think would happen? In response to this, a friend of mine told me that she's not just any girl, she's special. And the same friend told me that she doesn't want a man who's only interested in her for her looks. But think about this. When a man sees a woman from across the room, what other information does this man have? None! Not to mention, even if you were interested in the type of guy who will approach you and everyone else solely based on appearance, in many areas, it is physically impossible for a man to have the time to hit on every good-looking person he sees in the course of a single day and get anything else accomplished. But the idea that it's a man's job doesn't just stop with initiating a relationship. We're also told that it's a man's job to text first, to call first, ask her on a date first, and literally everything else leading up to and including a marriage proposal. This old saying always holds true, and I use it quite often. If you want leaves, rake. If you want diamonds, dig. If you're waiting for douchebags to hit on you, douchebags is what you'll get. In many cases, 9 out of 10 times. Not all the time. But when it comes to work, relationships, health, basically everything in life, if you want leaves, grab a rake. If you want diamonds, you're gonna have to grab a shovel. You're gonna have to do some digging. And don't get me wrong, I'm not assigning gender roles, quite the opposite. I'm just saying that by not having pursued a single person who you identified as a good person, you've closed yourself off to 99 out of the 100 opportunities you had in your life to have a decent relationship. Sure, you've saved yourself some heartache, but fear, discomfort, and rejection are the price of admission to a fulfilling life. And again, this is not exclusive to relationships. This goes with everything in life. This goes for men too. Sure, you'll get rejected sometimes. That's life. Guys don't like rejection any more than women do. So, Are you staying neutral in the relationship department, yet yearning for a quality type of connection? Are you keeping effort as close to the zero line as possible, waiting for fate? Both men and women, listen to this right now. If your strategy to find or maintain love is to do absolutely nothing, then nothing is what you'll get. Here's another illustration that I use when talking about fitness. The same thing can be applied to relationships. Fitness is like roller skating uphill. Do nothing, and you'll roll backwards. Put in a little effort, and you'll stay about where you are. Put in more effort, and you'll progress forward. And it's worth mentioning that after you find a quality person to spend time with, drop any form of idealism you had. Work on yourself and be happy.